Captain Coward, otherwise known as Francesco Schettino, would cost the lives of 32 passengers and crew members, along with a long list of detrimental issues including an affair. He would plead innocent and even went as far as to claim he accidentally abandoned his ship. But how did this man kill so many innocent passengers and crew members? Today, we're digging into the events leading up to the tragic disaster of Costa Concordia. Welcome back to Something That Shadows. My name is Tyler, and today we look at the case of Captain Coward. Let's start by answering the question, who is Francesco Schettino? He's an Italian former shipmaster who commanded the cruise ship Costa Concordia when it struck an underwater rock and capsized off the Italian island of Giglio on the 13th of January 2002. 32 passengers and crew died. In 2015, he was sentenced to 16 years in prison for his role in the incident, and he began serving his sentence in 2017 after exhausting all of his appeal options.
Gli dice se ci sono bambini, donne o persone bisognose di assistenza e me ne dice il numero di ciascuna di queste categorie. È chiaro? Guardi Schettino che lei si è salvato forse dal mare, ma io la porto veramente molto male, faccio passare l'anima dei guai. Vada a bordo. Sto qua per coordinare i soccorsi. Che sta coordinando lì? Vada a bordo, mi coordini i soccorsi da bordo. Lei si rifiuta? No, non mi sto rifiutando. Lei si sta rifiutando di andare a bordo, comandante? No, ci sto andando. E mi dica qual è il motivo per cui non ci va. Ci sto andando perché ci sta l'altra lancia che si è fermata. Lei vada a bordo, è un ordine. Lei non deve fare altre valutazioni. Lei ha dichiarato l'abbandono nave. Adesso comando io. Lei vada a bordo. È chiaro? Sto andando a bordo. Vada. Mi chiami immediatamente da bordo. C'è il mio aerosoccorritore lì. Dove sta il tuo soccorritore? Il mio soccorritore sta a prua. Avanti. Okay. Ci sono già dei cadaveri, Schettino. Avanti. Quanti cadaveri ci sono? Non lo so. Uno l'ho sentito. Me lo devi dire lei quanti ce ne sono, Cristo. No, ma ti rende conto che è buio e che qua non vediamo nulla? E che vuole tornare a casa, Schettino? È buio, vuole tornare a casa? Salga sulla prua della nave tramite la biscacina e mi dica cosa si può fare, quante persone ci sono e che bisogno hanno. Ora!
Francesco Schettino was born in Castellammare di Stabia into a seafaring family based in Meta Campania. He attended the Nautical Institute Nino Bixia in Piano di Santo, then worked for the ferry company Tirrenia. On the 16th of April 2002, aged 41, Schettino was hired by Costa Concordia, a subsidiary of Carnival Corporation. Starting as an official in charge of security, he moved up to become second in command, and in 2006, Schettino was promoted to captain and given command of the newly launched Costa Concordia. In November of 2008, when he was the captain of the Costa Concordia, the ship suffered damage to her bow. When high winds over the Sicilian city of Palermo pushed the ship against its dock, there were no injuries and repairs started soon after. According to Schettino's employer in 2010, as a master of the Costa Atlantica, he damaged another Carnival Corporation ship while entering the port of Warnemünde, Germany. At too high a speed, AIDA crews later denied that the incident caused any damage. In 2014, 2 years after the Concordia disaster, upon invitation by a university in Rome, he held a panic management seminar with subsequent strong controversies. In 2015, Schettino published a book, La Verità Sommersa, in which he characterized himself as a hero. The book was controversially dedicated to the victims of the catastrophe. Many in the media criticized the book, especially how Schettino was attempting to profit from the disaster and paint himself in a better light. So he hasn't had the best track record so far. Let's look a bit deeper into the event itself that landed him behind bars. Schettino was the captain in charge of the Costa Concordia on the 13th of January 2012, when the ship attempted a sail by salute past Giglio, a maneuver he had performed before. The ship struck an underwater rock off the island, partially capsized and listed on its starboard side, resulting in the deaths of 32 people. Reportedly, Schettino was distracted by Moldovan dancer Dominica Sermetan, who was on the bridge at the time. Sermetan later admitted to being present on the bridge and having an affair with Schettino. However, Schettino himself claimed that he sailed so close to the rock to perform a sail by salute, and was navigating by sight since he knew the route so well. Costa Cruises later said Schettino failed to follow the approved route for sail-by salutes. Schettino accepted some degree of responsibility and asked for forgiveness when he talked about those who had died. In 2012, Schettino's lawyer, Bruno Leparati, defended his client's actions and indicated that his maneuver after the collision was brilliant and saved lives. In December of 2014, another one of Schettino's lawyers, Domenica Pepi, just prior to Schettino's testimony, declared that his client wanted to set the record straight and defend his honor. Schettino indicated prior to the trial that the underwater rocks that hit the ship were uncharted, the helmsman did not speak English or Italian, and that the ship's generators malfunctioned, impeding the rescue efforts. Regarding his early departure from the vessel, Schettino said that he left the ship when it turned over, and that he fell into a lifeboat. A transcript of recorded conversation between Schettino and Gregory Di Falco, the on-duty Italian Coast Guard commander, was broadcast around the world. It details a very angry Di Falco repeatedly ordering Schettino to leave the lifeboat and return to the stricken Costa Concordia. Di Falco did not believe Schettino's explanation of how he fell into the lifeboat, or his excuse for not returning to the vessel because it was too dark and the lifeboat had stopped moving. Di Falco also proclaimed to Schettino, "You've abandoned ship, I'm in charge now." At one point, Di Falco was so angered by Schettino's excuses that he told Schettino, "Vada a bordo, caso," literally, fucking get on board, but also translated as get the fuck on board for fuck's sake, or get on board, damn it. But Schettino did not do so, and was one of the first ones to reach land. Schettino also claimed that he would have returned to the ship by helicopter if it were possible. Carlo Galli, a Giglio police officer, found Schettino and offered to get him a dinghy to get back to the ship, but Schettino declined. Galli also said that Schettino was dry, despite supposedly falling from the ship. Schettino was vilified in extensive media coverage that dubbed him Captain Coward and Captain Calamity. Others in the press noted that Schettino was a daredevil and prone to insubordination. He was even described as Italy's most hated man by the tabloid press, and at the end of his trial at Grosseto, Schettino said that he'd spent 3 years in a media meat grinder. Costa had communication with Schettino during the interval between the collision with the rock and the evacuation order. Some claim that this may have led to a delay in the rescue efforts. However, Schettino did not contact his employers during the first 15 minutes after the collision. Thus, any such conversations did not distract him from sending a mayday or ordering an evacuation. He reportedly lied to the Coast Guard to keep rescuers away and ordered passengers to stay away from muster stations, delaying evacuation. Schettino was initially believed to have been under the influence at the time of the event, but tested negative for drugs or alcohol the night of the disaster. After the incident, Schettino was placed in temporary custody by the prosecutor of Grosseto and released for house arrest on the 17th of January 2012. On the 5th of July 2012, Schettino was released from house arrest but mandated to reside in Meta di Sorrento. Prior to Schettino's trial, Pier Luigi Foscia, at the time chairman of Costa, put blame on the captain as being responsible for deviating from the course and sailing so close to Giglio. Costa terminated Schettino's employment in 2012. The company declined to pay for his legal defense, although it had supported him initially. After a plea bargain with the prosecution, Costa became a co-plaintiff in the trial against Schettino. Schettino's trial was separated from a trial against 5 other Costa employees. Real quick, we're going to go over them. Roberto Ferrani, the company's crisis director, was found guilty of minimizing the extent of the disaster and delaying adequate response. Captain Service Director Manrico Giamperdoni, First Officer Sirio Ambrosia, Helmsman Jacob Rusley, Bin, an Indonesian, and the only non-Italian indicated Third Officer Silvia Coronica. All pleaded guilty in a plea bargain and received jail sentences ranging from 18 months to 2 years and 10 months. Reuters cited judicial sources as saying none of these individuals were likely to go to jail, as sentences less than 2 years for nonviolent offenses are routinely suspended in Italy, and longer sentences may be appealed or replaced by community service. Criminal investigations into any role Costa might have had in the disaster were closed after the company agreed to pay a fine of €1 million. The company may still be liable for some civil damages. On the 23rd of February 2013, the Office of the Prosecution at Grosseto announced that it had initiated legal proceedings against Schettino. He was accused of multiple counts of manslaughter, causing a maritime accident, abandoning ship with passengers still on board, and lack of cooperation with rescue operations. The trial took place at Grosetta's Teatro Moderno, which was adapted into a courtroom to handle lawyers of about 250 co-plaintiffs and about 400 scheduled witnesses. While the other parties involved could get a plea bargain, Schettino's request to strike a plea bargain himself was denied. Schettino's lawyers claimed that he was being made a scapegoat and that the helmsman of the Italian Coast Guard should take some of the blame. By the time he had made his first appearance on the 2nd of December in 2014, he was left as the sole person to be accused of manslaughter. Schettino is now the only defendant, but he is not the only one responsible, opened Daniele Boccellini, who is a lawyer for some survivors. He's not responsible for the lifeboats that couldn't be launched nor the following emergency generators. In his defense, Schettino explained that the sail by salute was intended to pay homage to other mariners and for business reasons to present passengers a nice view. He denied that he did it to impress a Moldovan dancer whom he had brought to the bridge. She had boarded as non-paying passenger and later admitted that the two were having an affair. Schettino maintained that his actions had saved the lives of many after the ship hit the rock and claimed that some of his crew misunderstood and botched his orders. Further, he blamed defective generators and the flooding of compartments for aggravating the situation. His lawyer argued that these malfunctions were responsible for the fatalities. At the end of the proceeding, the public prosecutor, Magistrate Maria Navarro, asked for a jail sentence of 26 years and 3 months. Confirming the charges, she parsed jail times as follows: 14 years for multiple manslaughter, 9 years for causing a shipwreck, 3 years for abandoning the vessel, and 3 months for failing to contact the authorities when the accident happened. Navarro accused Schettino of lying during the trial as well as in the prior public interviews. Prosecutor Stefano Piazza stated, "The captain's duty is to be the last person off the ship. It is not just an obligation dictated by ancient maritime rules, it's also a legal obligation intended to limit the damage to those on the ship." Schettino's lawyers rebutted the charges and indicated that the disaster was a collective failure for which he should not be made the scapegoat. On the 11th of February 2015, after a 19-month trial, Judge Giovanni Pulati read the verdict, sentencing Schettino to 16 years in prison and 5 years interdiction from navigating. The 16-year verdict is composed of 10 years for manslaughter, 5 for causing a shipwreck, and 1 year for abandoning his passengers. This is to be served consecutively. Although Costa's lawyers called the verdict balanced, others criticized it. Survivors groups saw it as too lenient. On the other hand, it was also argued that Schettino, while guilty, had been made a scapegoat for the accident. According to this view, the disaster was a complex failure, involving not only the negligence on the part of the captain, but also inadequate safety procedures, poor evacuation procedures, communication failures, and technical defects such as the faulty watertight doors. On the 31st of May 2016, an Italian appeals court upheld Schettino's prison sentence. Schettino further appealed to Italy's Supreme Court of Cassation, which upheld the original sentence on the 12th of May 2017. On hearing the verdict of the second appeal, he turned himself into Rome's Rebibbia prison to begin his sentence. If you guys enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe to the channel. Have a wonderful day.